Hello everyone. I'm making this video because I want to discuss an idea that's been quite heavy on my mind recently, and it's this idea that something kind of went wrong with our society a little bit around the time that Gen Z was beginning. And I'm specifically referring to the introduction of screens and media, like digital content, and its effect on our minds, our brains, our psyche. I don't know. It's just very strange to me that, given that we're the first generations to go through this, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and I guess all the other generations coming out after, there isn't really any data, any historical precedent about how this affects people, how this massive amount of interconnectedness and the sheer volume of information and content to consume available so readily at the tap of a freaking screen, like how it could have affected us. There's just no data on this. There's no precedent to draw from. We don't know what this would have done to us. I just feel like it's having a really bad effect on us. I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience, of course, but I've seen plenty of people complain about this. I've seen a lot of people point the blame at screens and at digital content. And I don't think it's all bad, of course. There's a lot of utility to be found in this technology, but I think it's gone awry. I think it's gone bad. I think it's causing a lot of harm. And I see it in my life, and I'm going to draw on some examples from my own life in talking about this, but I'm sure this applies to a lot of other people. I've seen examples of it. I've seen people make reference to this a lot. I mean, a lot of it's a stereotype, oh, it's the dang screens, back in my day. Well, I think there's an element of truth to that stereotype. The first thing I want to discuss is just what I think the screens have done to our dopamine. From what I understand, dopamine is not really a chemical in so much as it is a system in the brain that manages reward, and particularly the anticipation of reward. This is all from YouTube and like some superficial level of research I've done in the past. So I'm no expert. Take my words with a grain of salt. But to the best of my knowledge, dopamine is essentially used by your brain to signal the anticipation of a reward. So, for example, when you're about to do something that rewards you, your brain releases the dopamine to make you want to do it. And there's chemicals and there's behaviors that hijack the system, like cocaine, for example, or other drugs, or even, there's even sober behaviors you can do. I'm not really going to name them, but I'm sure you can guess at a few behaviors you can do, like habits that you can form, like overeating or indulging in other types of, behavior that also leverage this system to make you feel good, to make you want to keep doing that. And in theory, this system feels pretty right. Like, it makes sense. You want to reinforce the behaviors that aid in your survival, that improve your chances of proliferating the human race, of procreating, of becoming strong, and that's great. But I think because of our nature as well, we're still kind of animalistic in a sense. We still crave these base desires. We still want to eat. We still want to reproduce. We still have these desires as biological beings. Combining those desires with our high level intellectual capabilities, we've designed a society in which our needs are fully met, more or less, right? I mean, no one, like, I know starvation, I know these things are still problems, but our superficial survival needs are, for the most part, met. And now we are crossing over into the comfort side of things. I'm having a hard time wording this. What I'm basically trying to say is the dopamine systems are being hijacked by us to make us feel even better than we would have, and then what is necessary for survival. Like, for example, we don't really need screens and that kind of stuff for survival. I don't need to watch YouTube for 5 hours a day to survive, right? Or I don't need to overeat. I don't need this stuff. Theoretically, if I were fully rational, I would deduce that I don't need specific things, even though they feel good and I want to do them. Like, I don't need to, for example, watch YouTube for 5 hours, and so I wouldn't do them. But I think that as a society, as humans, we've gotten really good at pressing our own buttons to the point that it's starting to bite us in the butt. We're starting to see consequences to this behavior. Like, for example, right? Social media, let's go back to the beginning of the iPhone, because that's as far back as I can comfortably say I have some knowledge about what's going on, right? Like, the iPhone's introduced in 2007. At first, it's just a revolutionary device. Oh, with a touchscreen, the first widely mass-produced capacitive touchscreen device that just works very well with internet capability, a built-in camera. You can listen to music on it. It's like a general-purpose companion of sorts, right? It's awesome. It's great. It's a great tool. You want to do some research. You want to capture a video. You want to write something down in your notes. You want to look something up. It's all there for you in your pocket. That's amazing. That's great. But as time goes by, obviously, we find more uses for the iPhone than what's originally prescribed for it. We start to create videos for our entertainment. Of course, nothing wrong with that. And then things keep going and going and going, and now we find ourselves at a point in time when it's actually widely accepted and in fact the norm to be addicted to your phone, to spending hours a day on your phone. Like, I go to the bathroom and when I just use the bathroom, I feel this compulsion to just pull out my phone and start playing some stupid like game like Block Blast or whatever, or watch some Instagram reels. Like, I genuinely feel, and I feel like this is, a lot of other people can attest to this. I feel addicted to my phone. Like, it's becoming a lot more apparent to me now when I'm older, but it's addiction. It's pure addiction. We've gone from using the phone as a tool for self-discovery, for growth, and for just as a tool, to this thing that we're addicted to. I feel like I'm a slave to this thing, but I chose to be a slave because I can't stop. If I put it away, I start to feel cravings. I start to feel like depressed. I feel anxious. I feel jittery. I feel like my life has no purpose. I start to have an anxiety attack, or I feel like my life is meaningless. It's so strange, and I really don't know what else to do. I need to talk about that. It's a very, very strange feeling. It's a very strange realization, and I think it has to do with dopamine. I think the phone has been used. I'm not going to say it's a tool for control of the masses. I'm not a conspiracy theorist in that sense. I mean, if there's evidence for that, then I guess it's true, but that's not the point of this video. I'm not saying that there is evidence or there isn't. I'm just saying, although there is a little bit of evidence that some companies like Facebook have used social media, and, obviously, which is delivered through phones primarily, as a means to influence public opinion and to hook people onto their platforms to make as much money from advertisements as possible. But that's another video. Well, I guess it does tie into this. But in essence, what I'm trying to talk about is the effect that this phenomenon, this proliferation of dopamine hijacking through this very convenient device that fits in our pockets and offers so much to us, the effect that it has had on our psyche. Because I would say that it's negatively affecting my life significantly. I think this addiction to my phone has impaired my social abilities. It's impaired my cognitive function. It's made me very insecure because I'm constantly bombarded with videos of people in their prime, people doing things expertly. I feel like I don't have a right to do anything, to play the guitar or to build anything because I don't have a PhD or because I have to spend 10 years practicing just so I can get to that same level as the people in the videos. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm the one with the problem here. But you gotta just tell me this, right? If you want to do something, let's say you play Minecraft, right? I mean, a lot of people play Minecraft. So I play Minecraft, I load up a new world, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so excited. This is so cool. I want to build a house. Okay, and I start chopping down the trees. I make all the planks. I start to build my house. I have an idea for a design in mind. And then I'm like, all right, let me go find some inspiration for some ideas. Right? I go on YouTube, and I look up Minecraft house building ideas. And then I start watching Grian. If you know who Grian is, he's this whole thing is building in I don't know. I've watched him a long time ago. Maybe he does something else now, but you watch someone who's very good at building houses. You watch them build a mega palace, right? And then it feels like your idea, like my idea, suddenly seems so stupid and dumb and insignificant in comparison. No one's going to care about my house. No one's going to ever care about it. And yeah, you might say, okay, well, the point of this house isn't for other people to care about it. But it's like, I don't know. For me, it kind of demeans what I'm doing. It demeans my purpose, my original intent. Makes it feel pointless. I guess this could be a me issue. I'm sure it could definitely be. But like, what about if you spend hours a day? Like, let's go back to the beginning. Let's say someone who's never used the phone before opens TikTok for the first time, right? And then the first thing they see is a funny seal video, a seal, like a sea lion. Oh wow. I see that. I see that a lot on TikTok. I don't really use TikTok that much, but when I do, that's like the kind of video that I typically see because I don't know. I guess I like it, and the algorithm knows. Okay, this seal video is so funny. Look at the seal. He's doing a little wiggle. Wow, that's so hilarious. Let me scroll to the next video. Let me see if there's anything else that's this funny. Oh, this video is not as funny. Okay. All right, I'm going to scroll again. Oh my God, this video is hilarious. I need more of this. I need more funny videos. And I can get more. I just have to swipe. So what I see happening is you have this expectation of comedy. You want to feel mirth. You want to feel like laughing. So you keep on searching for that feeling, and you take hits. You take little swipes. You just swipe. It's just a swipe. That's all it takes. Just one swipe, right? Then another swipe. Then another swipe. You can just keep going, keep looking for those funny videos, and sometimes you get them, right? So you know it's possible. Your brain is anticipating that reward because it knows that it's possible because you've already experienced it. But each time you experience it, that effect is subdued because your brain's used to it. Your novelty, your neurons adapt. It's called, there's an actual phenomenon here. I don't know what it's called. I think something along the lines of neural adaptation or habituation or something like that. But essentially, the neurons in your brain become less stimulated by the stimulus you're giving it because that's just a natural biological adaptation that your brain uses to stay alive, right? I mean, you need to adapt to things. Otherwise, you can get overstimulated or you'd never adapt to new circumstances. And adapting means making something that's not normal feel normal. So this thing that's not normal, right? This excessive amount of comedy in the video is not normal, right? If it was normal, then it wouldn't be funny. Funny things are funny because they're not normal. That's the point, right? I don't laugh at my computer right now because my computer's been there. I know what it is. But if it's my first time ever seeing a computer, maybe I'll start laughing at it. Like, oh my God, what is that thing? It's a box? Like, that's so stupid, But then over time, okay, it's not funny anymore. Because if it was still funny, then... But anyway, that's the thing. It's like, it's a trap. Because you are then, like, you find the videos less funny, but you keep swiping because you want to find them funny. And every now and then, maybe your algorithm decides that, okay, it's time to show you something new. And then you find that funny again. And you get hooked on that new type of content. So maybe it's now it's videos of kittens. Or maybe it's AI generated, it's like brain rot or something. And then you keep scrolling, and then you get back to a point where it's not funny anymore. And what I've noticed, and I've seen other people talk about this specific phenomenon, is that after a time of doing this, after a certain amount of time, you start to feel really just depressed in general. And I've very, very much experienced, like very much so, I know what this is like. I've experienced this for sure. After watching YouTube or after scrolling on Instagram or something for a long time, when I get off, everything just feels so dull and colorless and pointless. The things that I used to enjoy, going outside, walking, taking photos, playing games even, it just feels pointless. I feel like none of this makes any sense. None of this is, like, it's just, what's the point? It's so boring. Everything feels boring. And then I feel compelled to find another idea. Oh my God, I have to fix this. How do I fix this? I need to find my life's purpose. I need to go to my journal and start writing like a maniac. I have to figure out the point of my life so that I stop feeling so depressed. And it's a cycle because no amount of journaling and no amount of planning is going to put me in that same spot where I feel like the comedy. I feel my brain just is expecting more satisfaction from the phone and from the screen. And I'm trying to solve this problem. I'm trying to solve this addiction by replacing it with some other source of dopamine. It's like someone who's addicted to cocaine or alcohol or even sober behaviors that are addictive, like food, overeating. Someone who's addicted to something, trying to replace their addiction. Like when they stop, because obviously, the hallmark aspect of an addiction is that you can't stop, physically even, in a lot of cases. I mean, alcohol is a notable example of this. If you just cold turkey quit alcohol, you could straight up die from a seizure because your brain's GABA receptors have to readapt to this baseline level of stimulation. Right? That's what alcohol does. It's overstimulating your GABA receptors, and your brain expresses a lot more of them, or I guess a lot less. I think it's a lot more of them, so that the same amount of alcohol has a lower effect. And so if you stop drinking, your brain will produce a lot of GABA on its own, but it also has a ton of GABA receptors, and so all those receptors will suddenly fire, or it's the opposite. It's something along these lines. I'm not a neurosurgeon, but that's the idea, right? It's that when you quit the addiction, that craving kicks into high gear because your brain has adapted to that stimulation. And it's very harmful, it's very painful, and very discomforting. And now I'm starting to wonder whether we've gone wrong, whether society's made a big mistake without knowing it, really. Because who could have predicted it? Like I said at the beginning, this is unprecedented. No one could have predicted. I mean, maybe some people could have predicted it, but like, could you really have? Like, the average person wouldn't have thought this about we wouldn't have thought about it like this, Maybe some people did, maybe, but I don't think they would have been afraid, or I don't think they would have. I don't think people were ready. I don't think we knew what it was going to be like. And I know I'm speaking very from a high level, I guess. So I'm like, oh, society this. But I was born in the middle of this revolution. I was born in the 2000s when, the technology was just starting to pop off, when the internet was, establishing itself. It's already been out for a couple of years. So people have already, it's already kind of become normal. And then when I grew up, when I became a teenager, that's when stuff really started to kick into high gear. When all this, all social media and the phones, everything started to really cement its place in society. When phones became widespread. I didn't really get a phone until I was a little older. But even so, I think my life would have been much better off if I had not had a phone at such a young age. And if I had not had access to the internet. And even now, I realize now that many of my problems as a human stem from my addiction to a screen. Well, I think if I were dropped in the middle of a forest without anything but the bare essentials I need to survive for a month, or let's say in a cabin with, let's say I was sent to a camp somewhere, summer camp. That sounded messed up. I didn't mean a camp. You know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm saying if I were suddenly in a life where I didn't have a phone, but all my needs were also met, I think I would be perfectly happy. I think if I had people surrounded, if I had a good social community, if I had my dietary needs met, even if I wasn't wealthy, as long as I was relatively healthy, and I had a social community, a strong community, and I had my physical needs more or less met, I think I'd be happy. I know I can always just stop using the phone. I can always just stop watching YouTube. But I don't know. It's hard because then I feel like I have to start from square one, And I guess that's also due to the screen. I just feel incomplete as a human because of the phones, because of the way that, the things that I've been exposed to as a human, things that I've seen on YouTube. I've always wanted to play the guitar, but every time I picked it up, I went online and started looking up guitar tutorials. I watched all these experts, pros playing, and I watched them get attention. I watched them get millions of views. I started to feel like, well, what's the point? It'll take me years to get to that point, and even in the process, no one's gonna care. And yeah, I could do it for myself. I could do that with anything, but I don't want to. I want people to care about the stuff that I do. I want someone to care, I mean, I don't want to be I don't want people to praise me. I just want to do, hey, you can play the guitar? That's pretty cool. Hey, show me a song. All right, here you go. All right, that was a cool song. That's it. That's all I want, just a little acknowledgement of my existence. Wow, the cops are outside. I hope they're not coming here. I didn't do anything illegal. I don't know, man. I don't really know where I was going with this. I just wanted to talk about it because, well, I think it's a big deal. And I don't really I mean, I actually do see a lot of people talking about it. That's why, But see, that's another thing. Even with YouTube, right? I've been making YouTube videos since I was 13. So quite a while. Quite a few years. And I'm not famous because I've been very inconsistent. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos ever since I was a little kid because I just love sharing ideas with people. I love talking about all sorts of things. But then I would watch YouTube videos and I'd see, oh my God, I would see all these people making such high quality videos, spending hours and tens of hours and hundreds of hours on single videos, making them perfect. Like Mr. Beast, for example, right? I cannot compete with Mr. Beast. I used to watch him when he first started out. I was watching his first videos, counting to 100,000, all the pranks and all the, paying for a Lamborghini with pennies or whatever. I was watching him back then. And he grew from that to this, literally to the king of YouTube, to I think he's a billionaire now, actually. And I know anyone can do that. But it's just, I don't know, it's kind of demoralizing because I don't think I'm ever going to get to a point like that. I don't think it's possible. Like, sure, I could put in the same amount of effort and work, and if I really, really grinded for it, grinded, I guess grinded is the proper term here, I just would never get to that point. And so when I make a YouTube video, I kind of have this notion in the back of my head that, well, because I'll never be as good as Mr. Beast, there's not really any point to me making this video. Because what's the point of me making this video right now? I guess this is more of a motivation issue. My locus of motivation, my source of motivation is extrinsic rather than intrinsic. But I guess this is also due to the screens and the dopamine addiction that I have that comes from the screens. I'm so used to depending on some external source for satisfaction and for, dopamine that I can't motivate myself anymore. And I'm sure this is a problem that a lot of people have too. If it's not, then I guess this video is just me trauma dumping or something, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's basically it. I just want to keep making videos like this. Eventually, I'll start making higher quality videos. Higher quality. But for now, I think I like yapping about stuff. And in this video, I wanted to just talk about the dopamine stuff, how I feel dopamine, specifically from screens, has negatively impacted Gen Z and me, because I'm Gen Z as well, And I don't really see an end in sight. Technology is only getting worse. Not worse, I mean, you know what I mean. Technology is only becoming more and more integrated into our lives, especially with AI. I mean, AI is, holy cow. AI is the best example of a double-edged sword I've ever seen, because on the one hand, it's an excellent tool. It's literally a synthetic intelligence. It's a synthetic brain. We've taken the best part about humans, our reasoning and our intellectual capacity, and we've made a technologically advanced version of it that we can tune to whatever parameters to solve whatever problem we want. I mean, I've seen AI used to design rocket engines, to obviously generate images and whole videos. And while I don't agree with a lot of the ways AI is used, it's a great tool. It's going to help humanity in the future a lot. It's going to help us fold proteins, develop new materials, maybe even make a superconductor, which would literally solve all of humanity's problems, I think, especially in the energy sector. Like, it really has the potential to make life on Earth awesome for everybody. Sustainable abundance for all. I think that's very, very plausible. But at the same time, it's also been extraordinarily damaging to people, primarily psychologically. I mean, I'm sure a lot of, you've probably seen those news articles of people literally killing themselves because ChatGPT encouraged them to, right? And not, like, let's not forget the demeaning amount, like the way that it's like affected artists and musicians and all these other people, all these creatives whose work has literally been stolen to train these AIs. They were never given credit for it. I mean, it's crazy. AI is hurting and helping people, and I'm hoping that the scales will tip towards the helping part, because currently it's not really doing as much helping as I think it could be, and it's doing a lot more harm than it should be. But yeah, see, that's the next big thing, AI. We already have screens. Screens aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're only getting more advanced. Soon we're going to have them in our brains. We won't even need screens anymore, because the content will literally be directly streamed to our neurons via thin micro, cables directly implanted into our brains. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of Neuralink. Neuralink's another great thing that I think is going to help a lot of people, but of course, there's potential for abuse, and I'm sure that at some point it will be abused. Maybe not by Neuralink. Maybe some other company will make a neural implant that's cheaper than Neuralink, specifically for, listening to music without headphones or something. I mean, you wouldn't even need headphones anymore. Imagine that. Imagine listening to music and you could hear the music so perfectly because it could directly stream to your brain. So you'd hear the bass exactly how you want to hear it. You'd hear the treble, you'd hear the midtones. You could cure tinnitus. We could even augment our hearing and make it even better, so we could hear even better music. And then they'll start playing ads in your brain, and then they'll start feeding you specific types of music. The AI algorithm will determine what you want to hear. Perhaps you won't even listen to real human music anymore. You'll just listen to AI-generated music. But anyway, this video isn't a doom and gloom thing, and it's already stretching for quite a bit. I'm sure no one's going to watch this video. Nobody's going to care. If you did, you watched to this point, well, congrats. That's actually kind of impressive, because this is literally just a yap session, but I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. I feel like it's worth talking about. I want to make a more detailed video about this, maybe with some research. I don't know. That's why I'm doing this. It's the reason I'm recording these videos, because I eventually want to make higher quality videos, but I don't want to invest all that time and effort into something that I don't think is going to work. Like I said before, this video feels pointless. Even uploading it feels like a joke to me because it's so low quality. I don't think anyone's really going to appreciate this. And it's not their fault. I'm not really putting a lot of effort into this. But that's the thing. At what point, like at what level of effort can I deem a video high quality such that I would be proud of publishing it? That's the thing. Because I'm not proud of basically anything that I do. No, like I all of my hobbies, all of my interests, nothing feels worthwhile to me anymore because there's always someone that can do it better. And that's, of course, because of my exposure to these people via the screens. I keep watching experts doing all these things amazingly, and then I just keep thinking about how I fall short and how my existence is meaningless as a result. But anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to talk about screens and dopamine and doom and gloom. Hopefully I'll make some happier videos in the future, maybe. But anyway, that's about it, guys. See ya.